That's what we're in right now. I'm sending a picture of this flat ride to Tyler Pons.
Well, I was going to tell Rabbi
Nobody
it's
knows
time,
here
but
that
she
I have a
vanished,
very
so
rare ride.
I don't know. I'll give it another minute, but the live stream is on. So, that'd be great.
Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah, thank you.
May the Lord protect and defend you. May God always shield you from shame. May you come to be in Israel a shining name. May you be like Ruth and like Esther. May you be deserving of praise. Strengthen us, O Lord, and keep us from the stranger's way. May God bless you and grant you long life. May God keep you and shield you from strife. May the Lord protect and defend you. May God always shield you from shame. Favor us, O Lord, with happiness and peace. Oh, hear our Sabbath prayer.
We invite everybody to please take your seat. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Shabbat Shalom. We continue with Shalom Aleichem in our Siddur, page 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Barchuni L'Shalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Seichem L'Shalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbat Shalom. It is Shabbat, a time we come together. Tonight we are here in solidarity. Solidarity for our brothers and sisters in the state of Israel. Of course, we're also here because it's Shabbat and you get stickers, which we like. We're also here because tomorrow Zachary Steinberg will be celebrating his bar mitzvah, and we celebrate that. We have any sixth graders, we'll have sixth graders are here. So this is what we do. We come together with the young, with the not so young, with babies in the back. You can make all the noise you want, babies, only when Rabbi Barish is not speaking. All the noise, I just rolls right over my head. Jessica Bass is here, Liara is here, Billy, Max, and Michael. Thank you for being here tonight. When we look at the Pew studies for Jewish life, Miami stands out in many ways. One of the ways is that we have a pretty high rate of synagogue affiliation, at least for some time in people's lives. But the other reason where we really stand out is that we are a community where so many have visited Israel. Raise your hand if you have visited Israel. This just goes to prove the point. And so for Israel for us, Israel, we drank the juice, we walked on the streets, we climbed or took the trolley car up to Masada, we prayed in the synagogues, we swam in the pools, we swam in the ocean, and we understood from the second we got off the ground, second we got on the ground, that these people are our people. These people are our people, and so we are with them at this time of great loss, great trauma, great vulnerability. In the 11th century, it's not just yesterday, Yehuda Halevi, the poet, wrote, Libi b'mizrach v'anochi b'sof ma'arav, ech at ama asher ochel ve'ech ye'arav. My heart is in the east, and I am at the edge of the west. How can I taste what I eat? How can I enjoy it? How can I fulfill my vows and pledges when Zion is in the domain of Edom and I am here? He was speaking in Spain in the bonds of Arabia. So many years ago, this medieval poet and scholar and philosopher talked about his connection to the people and land of Israel, and we still do today. We still have our hearts in the East, even though we are in the far areas of the West. And so being in the West or being in the East, we not only feel this love, but also a responsibility. So we are here in solidarity. Solidarity, we're here in responsibility, we're here in connection, we are here in love. And we're here because we need to pray together. That's where we get our strength. So we continue welcoming Shabbat this evening as we welcome Shabbat with Lecha Dodi. We join as a community, and so there's a lot of you, which means we should be able to hear a lot of singing this evening. We turn to pages 20 and 21 in our Siddur. Verses 1, 2, 3, and 9.
La 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 lecha dodi, ya la 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 likrat kala, ya la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabe, ya la 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 lecha dodi, ya la 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 likrat kala, ya la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, shamoy bezochor, bedibur echad, hishmianu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shemo tiferet, belit hilah, lai lai lai, ya la 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 lecha dodi, la 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 likrat kala, ya la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, likrat Shabbat, lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mikor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh asher hilah, lai lai lai, ya la 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 lecha dodi, ya la 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 likrat kala, ya la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, mikdash melech, ir melucha, kumiti metoch ha'afecha, rav lach shevet be'emek habracha, vehu yachmo alayich hemla, lai lai lai, ya la 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 lecha dodi, ya la 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 likrat kala, ya la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
We rise and face the door as if we're greeting the Sabbath bride.
Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam besimcha, uvtzola, toch emunei,
may be seated, except if you're Zachary Steinberg, Nicole and Jordan Steinberg, and even Asher joining us to light the Shabbat candles and sing the Shabbat Kiddush, beginning on page 2.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Page 5 for the Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahavara uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehila lemikraye kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'chartav v'eltanu kidashtav mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon Hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Awesome job. Okay, you get to drink the grape juice, both of you. That's yours, good. We have grape juice. It's inclusive. Yeah, Mom too. Would you like some grape juice? No, you don't like grape juice? Mommy's going to... Yeah, he's doing that. Okay, good. I'll put this down. You guys sit down, and Zach stays. How funny is it? No matter where you put fire, some kid has to go towards it. Welcome, friends. Come on in. Find a seat. There's plenty of seats still. We continue on page 28. We rise for the Baruch Hu. Those of you who have been to Israel, hold in your mind for a moment the feeling of Shabbat just when it starts, just when the sun is setting, when we see the colors change from day to night. That's where we are now in our prayer. Page 31. This is an hour of change Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, ma'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. We continue on page 32 with singing Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amecha Ahavta, Amcha Ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta, otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachvenu, uvkumeinu nasiach b'chukecha, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. 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 ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו, לעולם ועד.
You may be seated. Zachary will lead us in the Valhafta, page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזו ביתך וישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher Hotzeti etem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lechem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem emet.
Thank you, Zach. As we see that you are well prepared. Thank you, Nicole and Jordan, for, well, he's one of those kids that prepares himself, but thank you anyway for providing that environment. Page 39, our words before Michamocha. Please join with me. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze Eli anu va'amru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. We turn to page 43. On Wednesday mornings, it's the day I get up much earlier than the other days because I get to lead 4th grade in tefillah. And so this week, looked around, the kids are still very much kid-like. How do we make the mood one that's more thoughtful, and they're very thoughtful children to begin with. And so I took this evening prayer and we prayed it in the morning, because when we are unsure, the extra words of being protected under God's wings gives us comfort. To know we're not alone, to know that there is protection out there, that we matter. And so we say, Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom aleinu. Blessed are you, Adonai. Spread your shelter of peace over us, Val kol amo Yisrael, and over all Israel, Ba'al Yerushalayim, and over Jerusalem.
Sometimes I lay under the moon and I thank God I'm breathing. And then I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day. One day, one day, one day. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, ve'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom.
but don't let it faze you, no way, no way. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day. One day, one day, one day. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
We remind ourselves before the Amidah, pray as if everything depended on God. Act as if everything depended on you. If you are comfortable to do so, please rise for the tefillah, beginning on page 46.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevii Geula Livnei v'neihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umidom melach, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman natan lehachayot ha'kol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei ha'kol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kdoshim b'chol yom yehallelu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el ha'kadosh.
We join on the top of page 55. We stay standing. Please pray with me. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh ha-Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, who sanctifies the Shabbat. we continue with our prayers for the Amidah silently until we get to Shalom Rav. And when you've completed, you may be seated or you may choose the feelings and meditations of your own heart. We continue on page 60 with Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Yatov Lechato Dechoa Shalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Tonight's a different type of Friday night, and I intend to speak on a heavy subject. And so I'd like to invite anyone who is in 6th grade or younger to please head out of the sanctuary with Rabbi Aklepi into the lobby, if you're 6th grade or younger, where you can hear a more appropriate Israel story. And we'll let you know in about 45 minutes when I'm done speaking to come back in. was a week ago this Friday night. I went home after a really great Simchat Torah service where we spread the whole Torah around and celebrated consecration for our kindergartners, or first graders, or whatever it was. It's a lot of kids. It was a long time ago. It was a different world, actually. Before I went to bed, I saw on my phone that there were some rocket attacks in Israel, and then I went to bed, but rocket attacks in Israel don't really faze me too much because they happen all the time. And Israel has Iron Dome, and when there's rocket attacks, Israel just shoots them down and we move on. I didn't really think twice about it, and then I woke up in the morning and I turned my phone on and I saw the first headline, over 100 kidnapped. And I was just shocked. What? Over 100? It's not possible. The shock over the next few hours and days became much more real when we heard about the total number dead. It was unfathomable at 100. It was unfathomable at 200. It can't be more than that. 1,300? It's not believable. When we heard about the music festival, when we heard about the ISIS-like torture scenes in the Gaza envelope communities that I visit at least once a year, where I know so many people, including some of those who were murdered. Later, there will be time for investigations to figure out how something like this could have happened. I mean, we know that Israel has the best intelligence service in the world alongside of the CIA and one of the best armies in the world. How? How could it possibly have happened? It's not possible. I've been there a million times. There are army bases all along the border. They're all aimed right at the Gaza wall. Don't be fooled. This wasn't Hamas. The cameras, the communication systems, the computers were all jammed by a highly sophisticated attack that was most certainly aided by Iran. There's no doubt that the head of the octopus, as Naftali Bennett always argues, is in Tehran. The tentacles reach to Hamas and Hezbollah. The attack happened on October 7th, the birthday of Vladimir Putin. There's no doubt an axis of evil. And how far deep this goes, who knows if we'll ever know. The timing was unbelievable. Israel's concentrated on the northern border. I was just there at the end of June, and we walked along with the army. There's a man on CNN who's on constantly named Jonathan Conricus. Big guy, army spokesman. Just this past June, I spent 2 days with him, walking along the northern border, with him showing us where the Hezbollah outposts were. Everybody thought if something would happen, it would be in the north. After all, that's where Hezbollah is entrenched. That's where Iran's Shiite camp is set up. And the most pressing matter right now, at least until last week, was the Iranian nuclear ambitions. And the first step to war with Iran would be Hezbollah. Israel's also been entrenched in the West Bank. And the Gaza Strip was something nobody was even thinking about because of the terror and the new bases that are coming up in Jenin and some of the other locations. When we left Israel in June, on July 3rd, we were coming back from the American Embassy party for July 4th, and we had to change our route to the airport because the Israelis had an incursion in Jenin because of the huge buildup of terror in the West Bank that was not under the auspices of Hamas or the Palestinian Authority. It's a new branch that's rising. So nobody was really paying attention to Gaza. And then last Saturday. This is the most pain I've ever felt in my life. To me personally, it's even more intense than 9/11 because it doesn't end. Because Israel was so small. Because 9/11 was one day of trauma and then years of PTSD. But in Israel, they don't have PTSD. There's no such thing. Because the trauma's never post. It's always there. The way they died, of course, and one of the most painful aspects, the hostages. Reports today are that the Israelis have found some of those bodies already, some of the hostages, and that they're dead. We don't know where the other ones are, or at least it hasn't been revealed to us. But the manner in which they were taken, those images, will never be removed from our brains as long as we live. Right now, Israel's in war mode. Right now, Israel's in fight mode. If you look on Israeli TV, in the corner, by the emblem of the channel, for each channel it says, Yachad Ninatzeach. Together we will win. We will win. But the cost has already been paid. I imagine that I will mourn this tragedy for the rest of my life. Frankly, I can't imagine right now a day that could possibly go by where I don't see the images of these things that have happened. But right now, I'm in fight mode. Right now, I'm telling all of the people who said that Israel's checkpoints, the separation fences, and the walls are immoral, that they were wrong. That every time a car from Israel has gone into the West Bank or to the Gaza Strip by accident, the Israelis in those cars have been lynched, whether it's quiet in the atmosphere going on in Israel or not. Any time there's been an opportunity to lynch a Jew who accidentally crossed into the West Bank, it happened, and it happened in the most cruel way. And still people say these checkpoints are immoral. Palestinians deserve freedom of movement. That would be nice. But it's a dream world. Right now, I'm looking to my colleagues who have told me for the last 20 years that I'm too radical when it comes to Israel, that I've been wrong because I've been worried about Israel's security, and now I'm ready to tell them, no, you've been wrong because you haven't stood with me while I've been trying to do it. Right now, I want to tell every college administrator in this country, you have allowed atmospheres to boil over on our campuses where our kids are no longer safe at your school, and that has to come to an end. What you have done is immoral. It adds to anti-Semitism in this country, and it has allowed the moral equivalency of what just happened to happen, and it's incomprehensible to anyone who understands morality. God came to Noah, and he said, it's time to destroy evil from this world. This is the Torah portion that we'll read next week. There came a point where after 120 years of God waiting for people to repent God came to Noah and said, up till this point and no more. On Simchat Torah, we finish reading the Torah and then we start again. We finish reading the Torah because it's the time that God buried Moses. And we learn from that example how important it is, ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, to love your neighbor as yourself. And part of that mitzvah is to take care of the dead. That's how the Torah ends. The Torah begins, as far as humanity is concerned, with the story of the Garden of Eden, with God preparing for Adam and Eve everything they could possibly need. The Torah begins and ends with God's example of how we're supposed to take care of each other. That's the message that we're meant to learn on Simchat Torah, so that when we finish the Torah, we can begin again and move forward into a new year, first and foremost on our minds, taking care of each other. But instead of seeing that, we didn't see what happens in the end of the Torah and in the beginning of the Torah. We saw what happens once God gave people a little bit of a chance in this world. And eventually God said, the lawlessness that you've created, has caused me to say, up until here and no more. And that's when the flood came. Those of you who come to Torah study tomorrow will see that the word that God uses for lawlessness, the word that God uses in the Torah to say, these people, besides Noah and his family and the animals on the ark, all need to be wiped out, the word that's used is Hamas. Israel, too, is at an up until here moment. God had no choice when it came to the generation of the flood. Instead of learning about how we're supposed to take care of each other from the beginning of the Torah and the end of the Torah, Hamas taught us the lesson to learn from God's example, to say when it's time to blot out evil from this point forward and no more. Of course, now we see what's going on in Gaza. We know that there are thousands of innocent Palestinians who will be killed. I don't want to see videos like I have over the last few days of Palestinian children bleeding in hospitals with no one to take care of them. I don't want to see Palestinian elderly be killed. I don't know anyone who does. But we know as well that the rules of the game have changed. The world has changed. And what they're saying in Israel is, Ma shaya lo yiyeh. What has been in the past will no longer be. We are dealing with barbaric Nazis. Secretary Austin in Israel today, in a press conference with Prime Minister Netanyahu, said, part of my job in my career was destroying ISIS. Nobody knows ISIS like Secretary Austin, and the mission was to crush ISIS. The world decided that the barbarism of ISIS, the burning of people alive, the putting people in cages, the decapitations had to end. And after Austin saw the pictures that Netanyahu showed him of what happened in the Gaza envelope, he said, Hamas was 100 times more vicious than ISIS ever was. Think about that. After the flood, it happened again. God said after the flood, I'm not going to destroy the whole world, but I will destroy those who live a lawless life. And he came to Abraham and said, there are people who live near where you live, and it's time for them to die. They live in a place called Sodom and Gomorrah. And their evil is so out of control, the way they treat each other and the way they relate to the world, that I can no longer abide by them in this world. And Abraham said what we all want to say. How can you do that? Surely some of them are innocent. What if I can find 50 people? Will you change your mind? And God said, sure. But he couldn't find 50. And he said in chapter 18 of Genesis, what if I find 40? What if I find 30? What if I find 20? What if I find 1? And ultimately, when God had proven to Abraham that there wasn't even one righteous person in Sodom and Gomorrah, Abraham went home. God sent his angels, and the cities were destroyed. At the end of chapter 18, God finishes the conversation with Abraham and departs. When Abraham realizes that God's no longer there, that he's no longer experiencing a prophetic vision or receiving any message, he goes home. He goes home because he realizes that the die has been cast and the evildoers will be destroyed. The Torah says in 3 words, V'Avraham shav limkomo, and Abraham returned to his place. We learn from the Kabbalah that Abraham stood for what we call the attribute of chesed, kindness. Each one of our matriarchs and patriarchs represented one particular characteristic, and for Abraham, it was chesed. It was kindness. And that's why, unlike Noah, when God brought the flood, and God said to Noah, it's raining, it's time to get on board, Noah said, all right, let's go. When God told Abraham it's time to kill everybody, Abraham didn't just leave. He said to God, you can't do that. How can you kill the innocent? Something Noah never did. When Abraham saw that God had left and that the die had been cast and that there was no chesed left to give for the evildoers, he turned around, he went home, he took his kindness, and he said, where else can I give my kindness? Like Abraham, Israel too. I don't speak for you, but me too. I'm done with lawlessness. I'm done with Hamas. The die for their destruction has been cast, and we will not miss or mourn the absence of their evil from our world. Instead, like Abraham, we reserve our chesed for the people who are hurting, for our brothers and sisters who are fighting, who are healing, who are mourning, and who are suffering. Abraham left and went home. He took his kindness and he said, if they don't want it, I'll find the people who do. Today we do something that Abraham could only dream of for the future of his people. When Sarah died, Abraham had nowhere to bury her. He had to buy the land because he was a man with no country. When we finish the Avot, our prayer, when we say, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Sarah, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. At the end of that prayer, there's what we call the Chatima, one blessing where we say, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah. Blessed are you, Lord our God, who protects Abraham and shields Sarah. But at the end, we don't say Isaac and Jacob, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah. Why do we say to God, bless We're the children of all of these matriarchs and patriarchs. But at the end, we only say, shield Abraham and Sarah. The answer is because Abraham and Sarah were told, your children will inherit the land of Israel. You won't. You don't have a land. You have no home. You live before 1948. This isn't your land yet. And because you have no land, you need an extra blessing for protection. Abraham could only dream of what the future of his people would be. I thank God, today more than ever, that we live in a time when Jews can defend ourselves, when we can fight back, when a pogrom that, like what happened this past Shabbat, happens, we then don't, like my great-grandparents and my great-grandparents and probably all of your ancestors, or a good bit of them, had to look for a new country to live in because Central and Eastern Europe no longer welcome Jews. We'll mourn this tragedy for the rest of our lives. But at the same time, let us offer thanks that our people are home, in our eternal sacred homeland with its capital in Jerusalem. We are home, we will win, and we are never leaving. Am Yisrael Chai. May this be God's will. Amen.
בשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו, ברך את מדינת ישראל, ראשית צמיחת גאולתנו. הגן עליך, בעברת חסדך, ופרוס עליה סוכת שלומך, ושלח ותקנם בעצה טובה, בעצה טובה מלפניך. אבינו שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו, ברך את מדינת ישראל, ראשית צמיחת גאולתנו. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. אבינו שבשמיים,
Thank you, Jessica. So our prayers are with the state of Israel, those who need healing there. Misha Berach for healing for the body, for the soul. And we know that the trauma is affecting, well, everyone. And here too, we recognize and we don't dismiss the trauma we may be feeling, even though we're far away, because we still feel the fear and the vulnerability. And so we recognize that and we ask God to help us with the healing. If you are thinking of loved ones, we're going to just call their names out together and share their names, whether they need a healing of the body, refuat haguf, or renewal of the spirit. Like, we all need that strength. You can even call out your own name tonight if you would like to do that as we join in our prayer of healing. So I'll count us off. 1, 2, 3.
The words are on 253.
May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imoteinu v'kor habracha lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We turn to page 282, and if you are comfortable to do so, please rise for the Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו 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 אחד.
You may be seated. Following our service, we have a chair set up outside under the stars in the courtyard so we can sing together some Israeli songs, and one that we'll probably get to, Al Kol Ela. For all of these things, Al HaDavash, Va'al HaOketz, for the honey and for the sting. And when we think of our loved ones who have passed, we think of the honey, the sweetness, the love they brought to our lives. We think of the sting, the sadness, and the loss of missing them. And tonight, especially, we send condolences to the family of Mitchell Allen Muller. And we send condolences to the families in Israel who have lost loved ones. We say Kaddish tonight for Yosef Malachi ben David and all of our brethren who have perished in Israel this week. It is our custom here when you hear your loved one's name before Kaddish that you rise and stand at your seat through the mourner's prayer. We are remembering those who passed during the last 30 days. Howard Kleinberg, Bernard Eckstein, Joan Axler, Barbara Bronfman, Harvey Cohen, Warren Janowitz, Constance Cardoz Fidanki, Shirley Kaplan. We are remembering loved ones who have passed during this last year. Judy Agron, Chaim Aklepi, Lillian Berman, Hayusia Perelman Bernstein, Charlotte Glovsky Brody, Arthur Farkas, Florence Farkas, Linda Frankel, Mitchell Mitch Friedman, Jocelyn Jeroff, Judith Gilbert Gould, Andrew Gross, Dr. Martin Glazer, Dr. Henry Irwin Glick, Jennifer Gross, Joseph Harvest, Dr. Jeffrey Hertz, Sandra Sandy Kramer, Ruth LaShaw, Janice Levy, Phyllis Lieberman, Solomon Pinkert, Karen Michelle Solomon, Debbie Sandberg, Michael Schellist, Michelle Hope Sherry, Susan D. Score, David Sokol, Tanya Stern, Bela Malka, Marsha Weinstein, Daniel Salzberg. Members of our Temple Beth Am family are remembering loved ones at this time of year, time of their yahrzeit. We are thinking of Herman Amron, Rosalind Barlin, Tula Biner, Harry Berg, Robert Berger, Sylvia Berman, Edith Lewis Bernstein, Minnie Bess, Max Balin, Ida Bronstein, Betty Brooks, Yetta Brown, Elena Califf, Isabel Cowell, Judge Philip Cook, Michael Danley, Irma Davidson, Michelle Eisenberg, Bernard Elrod, Ida Fine, Rose Feldman, Jose Fisher, Dorothy Florman, Clara Foldis, Ellis Al Golden, Barry Greenberg, Natalie S. Gross, Andrew Gross, Arthur B. Halpert, Ida Hammer, Carl Harbour, Jacques Haskelson, Mrs. Judith Henkin, Bernard Jacoby, Marilyn June Jacoby, Leonore G. Joseph, Mr. Lucien Carcenti, Grace D. Kaufman, Jerry Kaufman, Jay Kislak, Belkis Escribano Clow, Edith Cole, Emma Cohn, Sophie Schneider Cohn, Sylvia Krasnow, L. Gary Labas, Fern Lietman, Gertrude Lerner, Goldie Lessenever, Roseanne Lester, Doris Levin, D. Bruce Levy, Bernard Lieberman, Mona Lieberman, Audrey Lissack, Mary Lustgarten, Max Mazel, Saul Mazel, Gilbert Mallinger, Florence Matson, Yiska Moser, Annette Muffson, Dr. James Nesbitt III, Ruth Nolman, James Jim Orovitz, Sidney L. Pachter, Philip Parker, Sylvia Pawa, Teresa Z. Pearl, Amy Sokol Phillips, Henry Podhurst, George Price, Sonia Redstone, Ephraim Reiser, Sarah Ressler, Eva Retchkeman, Israel Revitz, Herbert Rockman, Sarah Rosenthal, Marcy San, Philip Reisman Sanders, Morris Schwartz, Dolores Schwartz, Fanny Serrat, Irving Silverstein, Charles H. Stein, Joseph Streikoff, Jeanette Sussman, Carl Syrup, Andrew Tuvel, Shirley Valov, Oscar Vargas Bello, Herbert Wallens, Alvin Norman Weinstein, Reuben Weisbein, Dr. Irving Yulman. Are there other loved ones who would like to share their name? Sharon? Thank you. Zechronam Levracha. We had Zvi Golod Gershon Spencer. Yes, in the back. Thank you. Zechronam Levracha. May their memories be forever a blessing for us as we turn to page 294 and we rise for the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah B'yalma divrach hirotei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman koriv v'yamru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mivorach Le'olam Olamei Omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalel v'yitalal Shemei dekudusha berechu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran b'yalma v'yamru amen. Yehi Shalom Rabba min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh Shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, may God send peace and comfort to all who are bereaved among us. May God send peace to all of Israel, to all the world. And together we say, Amen. You may be seated. I invite the Honorable David Young, our immediate past president, to share greetings from our Temple Board of Directors and highlight some announcements.
You're leaving already? Something I said? I wish I could say I'm happy to be back up here. My heart broke all week. And one of the things that I kept reflecting on was when we were on the Israeli-Gaza border, we were together as a Beth Am family. We met with so many people, and we put rocks with messages of love, of hope, of peace, of shalom. Friday night, we were together as a family. We were celebrating Simchat Torah as an amazing community. My heart sang. Sunday, we were mourning as a community. We're here tonight as a community. This is what we do. This is what Beth Am does better and the Jewish community does better than any people that I know. We're here for each other. So on behalf of the president and the board of directors, and me personally, Toda Rabbah, thank you, my family, for being here. Rabbis, your remarks tonight, like the Phillies, hit it out of the park. Please root for the Phillies in the World Series. We just have to make Rabbi Barris happy, and it just... Yankees who? Jessica, Cantor, Billy, Lorna, thank you so much. So what's happening in Beth Am? Blessing of the Pets. That's Sunday. We also have Bridging Faiths, a Temple Beth Am, and anti-Semitic initiative. Is this what you want me to read?
Sort of. Keep going. I'll come back.
Okay, thank you, Rabbi. We also have Sunday Salon. We have Recovery Through a Jewish Lens on Tuesday and Thursday. We can all use this, a little comedy. We present Noah with a name like Noah Garden Schwartz, Veyizmir. His mother hated him, by the way. Fathered to him. With Esther Steinberg, it will be in the Hub. And on Monday, November 13th, our third annual Temple Beth Am Golf Tournament. As a community, next Friday night, we're going to gather. We're going to gather to support Israel. We're going to gather to support each other. We're going to have a shuk. We're going to have entertainment. We're going to have food trucks. We're going to have song. We're going to have the ability to buy a lot of Israeli swag. And once again, I hope to see you all coming together for our beloved Israel and our beloved Beth Am, because we are one community, which I'm very proud to be a part of. Shabbat Shalom. Pretty good for last minute, huh? Not bad.
I want to thank everyone who's been donating, contributing to Israeli causes so generously. It will take a lot more. And as you saw in probably the videos that we sent out, there are a few particular organizations that we have been supporting, the FIDF, Magen David Adom, JNF, and of course our Greater Miami Jewish Federation. I want to call your attention to one other charity that we have not yet mentioned, and that's Hadassah Hospital. Hadassah is getting most of the injured soldiers, and the demands on what they're being asked to do and expected to do are beyond belief. I want to specifically thank Diane Gottlieb, who's an international board member and who goes to Israel once a month, to serve. I would like that job, actually, but you have to pay your own way. I only go to Israel when you guys pay for it. Which is a lot. But we will have next week before services a whole mitzvah mall before services, and we'll have representatives of these different organizations before and after services. We'll also have opportunities for the students and kids to make bracelets, to write letters to the soldiers, to write letters to people who've lost loved ones, and really next Friday night is going to be our Friday night to do mitzvahs. We know that you want to do something. And next Friday night is going to be your opportunity. Although you have an opportunity right after this service, we're going to gather on the green, on the courtyard, in the Lamp and Sacre courtyard, to join together in a circle and sing with Jessica and our cantor. And I promise you, even if you're racing home, it's worth it. Come out with us for 15, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. That's all it's going to be. But it's really going to lift your heart and your soul. One last point. A couple nights ago, I'm a big Phillies fan. And I said to myself, can I even watch the game? I forget what night it was. It was one of the nights we beat the Braves. I said, I can't, I haven't not thought about the war in such a long time. And I know that we're all home watching it 24/7. And you should. And you need to know what's going on, and it's so important. But it's also not that healthy. You need to take a little bit of a break. You need to breathe. And I'll tell you, this comedian that we have coming, Noah Garden, whatever, he's really funny. He's really funny. He's Jewish. He's been on Comedy Central. And for us to laugh together for an hour, there's nothing wrong with it. I like laughing, and that's why all copies of my book that will be sold in the next, 24 to 48 hours, all copies, 100% of the proceeds will go to me. So if you buy it now in the next 24 to 48 hours, 100% of the proceeds will go in my pocket. So it's okay to laugh. You have my permission once in a while. Where'd it go? I think David took it. Our Breaking Bias program, Breaking Bread, Breaking Bias, and if you needed to know now more than ever that we need to break these biases, that we need allies, that we need to hear the stories of our non-Jewish friends and neighbors in Miami, it's now more than ever. October 22nd, 5 o'clock, a potluck dinner at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Miami. All the information is on our website. We're going to close now with our closing hymn. Please rise for Hatikva.
It's
If you can, we urge you to join us in the courtyard to really soothe your soul for a few minutes. Please join us. We invite you to turn to your neighbor and wish them Shabbat Shalom.
It was a huge night. Like, all the people who came to both services came out. All right, we'll go outside.
You're good to go?
I'm ready. Jessica has.
I will be there.
I did it. I'll grab my stuff and
I heard you like totally break the glass ceiling in one place.
oh yeah, I had to lower my feet back. Was it good? I'll bring this side down. I don't know what to do. Sorry. You ready? Right there. I'll bring this out for you. See you out. Sing, yeah, we're gonna go right now. All right, I'm gonna go do the thingy. Yes, still is. He's not gonna be gone. Coming back tomorrow. Hopefully, I know. Are you leaving?
What? Do you want to go out for those few minutes or you want to go home?
Don't lose it.
You're okay with all that stuff?
Can I task you with that? I have.
Is there anything you need here? Or should I go put this in my car?
You can go put that right in the car, and you can put that in the car too.
That's okay. Just stay away. I'll meet you at 9.